This Avalanche safety report is brought to you by Mountain TV. Watch Mountain TV anywhere with our free Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV apps. Learn more at mtn-tv.com.
We are doing our weekly update with Brian and the Colorado Avalanche Information Center. Brian, great to see you. It's been a busy week, a lot of snow, a lot of wind.
Yeah, a lot of snow, a lot of wind. I want to start by paying thanks to everyone for making some good decisions over the President's Day weekend. We got through a notoriously dangerous weekend without any serious accidents and no fatalities. So we can breathe a sigh of relief for there. But as you noted, we are coming off the heels of one of the most potent storms of the winter season, and it's got two parts to it. It was generated a lot of snowfall, but we've seen several storms this winter that created at least this much snowfall. But that wind that was associated with the storm was as much of a highlight as the snowfall itself. And I want to show you how this looked in a few different ways. What this looked like in terms of snowfall here is captured in the high resolution WRF model. These are 12-hour snow runs. So you can see a big pulse here. That was the the Tuesday, Wednesday storm, a little bit of a lull, and then another pulse comes through late in the work week. And so if you look at what this meant for total snowfall accumulation instead of just the 12-hour totals, you can see we stacked up some really healthy amounts. So those red areas, were exceeding a foot. Those pink and white areas were pushing 2 feet of snow. So you can see the most dangerous areas are concentrated in the San Juan Mountains, portions of the Grand Mesa, and the western portions of the Elk Mountains. That's highlight one of this storm. Highlight two was the associated winds. So this animation is showing the jet stream. These yellow areas are over 140 knots.
Brian, for the weather geeks, when you talk about that upper level airflow, how high is that? When you talk about 140, what elevation is that? What altitude?
Yeah, so the animation I just showed is around 300 millibars. So you're looking at, roughly around kind of 20,000 feet. So in Colorado, 700 millibars would be near ground level. So 300 millibars is kind of up, where the planes are flying. So in places that got more than about 15 inches of storm snow, we've got kind of a 2 avalanche problem scenario right now. We've got storm slabs because that means we can see avalanches in not only the drifted snow, and anywhere that got drifted snow is going to produce stiffer, bigger, and more dangerous avalanches. But in places that got more than about a foot, foot and a half of storm snow, we can even see avalanches in the storm snow in sheltered areas down in the trees. And that's what we mean by storm slab avalanches. And in most of the state, the storm snow is now accumulating on top of buried weak layers that have existed in the snowpack for quite some time. And that's our persistent slab avalanche problem. And so the most dangerous slopes are going to be where you see the two problems overlapping. If in places that got less than about a foot of snow, you can see that the storm snow instability is driven just by the wind. And so, here we're looking at wind-loaded slopes kind of on the east side of the compass because of the prevailing westerly wind direction. And that's going to change a little bit depending on kind of where you go in the state. So it's really important you get your local avalanche forecast. And these are the kinds of avalanches that are going to stick with us as we move through the last part of this work week and in through the weekend. The big storm highlight will be over, but we still have periods of unsettled weather. We're still going to have some drifting snow. These are examples of some of these storm slab avalanches in places that got more than about 15 inches of snow. And you can see them breaking way down on the slopes, well below the tree line, not just confined to ridgetop. So these are some examples of these storm slabs, which means if areas where you see storm slab avalanches as a problem, you cannot let your guard down just because you're in sheltered or lower elevation areas. The wind slab avalanches are going to be bigger. They're going to break deeper because they've got more drifting snow. And you're also going to find them confined to kind of the mainly the east side of the compass. And they're going to be larger and more destructive as you get near a ridgeline. So these are the kinds of avalanches that we're worried about in these wind-loaded terrain features. So that's really what we want people to be cautious of kind of through the weekend. And we're going to get enough snow to kind of fuel the fire into the early part of next week. It's an unsettled period of weather. And so we just need people to check their local avalanche forecast because there are some subtle differences there.
Brian, we appreciate it. Thanks so much for the update. Great job on this busy President's Day weekend. That's awesome. Thanks for the hard work, and we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, have a great weekend.